Welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats. So if you've been watching my episodes through YouTube and seen that my backdrop has taken two different iterations. So the first set, it was just me on this purple couch, which actually is covered by a blanket right now, with just, let's say, a couple photos in the backdrop, because that's all I could fit. So I knew that if I wanted to continue growing the show, I needed to get a better backdrop, get a backdrop that include more of me, and then that's what you see and what you've seen over the last maybe 10 or so episodes. So I'm mentioning all this because this is actually my last episode with this backdrop. So I'll be moving, and I'm a little sad to not just to move, because if you're listening to the show, you probably know that I live with my brother. So I'm going to be a little sad that he's not going to be right there for me to bug anymore. But I knew I needed my own space, and I'm very excited to finally get a real podcast studio that I can not just have more of my comic book posters hanging around, but just have all my tech just ready to use, instead of having a setup time and just having some separation from podcast life to just normal like sleeping life. Because currently my podcast studio is also my bedroom, so I'm not gonna hide that. It's worked so far, but now it's time for a new change of scenery, and just see how it looks. So I have no idea. I'm nervous. I'm excited. So it's gonna be a process. So I'm actually gonna take the next 2 weeks off from the show, so that next time you can expect an episode from Keoni Chats will be April 17th. For my last episode with this backdrop in this setting, I'm very happy to have my best friend from high school, Jake Eiland, be my guest today. So I met Jake through high school wrestling, and I think just crossing paths during the halls of Sunset High School. So I knew he was such a friendly guy. He was such a people person, and he was very much a storyteller, which is fun for me to relive again, because it's outside of this conversation. The last time I talked to him was about 10, maybe 12 years ago, which is a very long time ago. Seeing his face and be able to hear his voice and be able to know that he's still persevering, still pushing on with his career military, and still surviving after all of the injuries, which everyone will find out about during this episode. He's a tough son of a gun, so I don't think anything can really bring him down outside of probably weak knees, because of a lot of things. But so it was great to catch up with him. So I'm looking to keep up with him following this episode. And if you're here just to check out Jake Allen's episode, I urge you, check out all of the other ones. I've had 42 other episodes. These are people that I think are doing amazing things, and people that I think are living interesting lives. And I'm happy. I'm so excited to get their name out there to the public sphere through not just social media, like giving them blasts, the good blast. So just getting their story out there to Spotify and YouTube's, and just getting the story out there. So check out any of my other episodes. They're all fantastic people. And if you want to keep up with the show as far as episode releases, you can follow KC Media on social media. That's KC Media 13 on Instagram and Twitter, and then Conlu K Media on Facebook. So on YouTube, look up Keoni Chats, and you'll be able to find all of my episodes there. Also with my picture. So hopefully that made it easier to find me. So these are fantastic people that I've talked to. I'm looking to talk to more fantastic people. If you would like to be a guest, go ahead and email me on kcmedia13 at yahoo.com, and then I'll update your story and also get you scheduled for an interview. And I am making a lot of progress on my first and probably only mock draft, and I believe the 2 to 3 sentence analysis is working out perfectly fine. So I believe I'm heading into the mid 20s when it comes to the draft position. So keep an eye out for that. And then all my episodes and all my creative content, not just shout out through social media, they are available on my website, keoniconlu.com. KEONICONLU.com. I forgot to plug that the last couple episodes, so hopefully that's not forgotten about. Follow on social media, check us out on all podcast platforms and YouTube, and check out my website for more creative content. However you are listening to this episode, through whichever platform you prefer, or if you are watching through YouTube, I hope you enjoy my chat with Jake Eiland. When it comes to this, I'm having a show where I can have people come on my show and tell their life stories. It's nice to go back to where it all started. It's nice to go back to the very beginning. Okay, like high school is the very beginning enough. My guest, Jake Eiland, someone I've known since high school, back when he had less tattoos, a little more hair, and probably a little thinner frame. But he's
I was like 90 pounds. Yeah.
Same goofy SOB. Well, how you doing? We were talking a little bit before we recorded about how you're helping out with some COVID clinics. How has that been to just to be a part of that wave of healing?
Honestly, it's been pretty awesome. We had the older group coming through first, and I had elderly women calling me handsome like 3 times a day. So it's like a huge confidence booster. Hearing that
ego is through the roof right now.
Oh yeah. But now, when I joined active duty, I kind of wanted to get away from home, do something crazy. And when I finished my first 4 years, transferred over to the National Guard, and I was like, I want to be closer to home, be closer to the community, and help out the people that I signed up for. And so when I transferred to Idaho, we didn't have a ton of missions that were like that. I mean, there's no hurricanes or anything like that around here. And so when they offer orders like, hey, you get to be with the community, you get to see the people that you're here for to like protect or help with in a state of emergencies or anything like that, I was just like, well, I mean, I got nothing else going on and my job gets held for me, so figured I'd go some on the active duty state orders, and it's been pretty nice. So hanging out a college campus here, some indifferent looks, but just people are people. It is what it is. But I'm happy to be here. I get to help out, and I'm grateful. So I've been having a pretty good time up here for the last few weeks, and hope that continues until September.
What's kind of cool is that I got my COVID first vax shot on Thursday. You got yours on Friday. I just remember when I went, I saw a bunch of military people like doing the registration process, entering some info, and then that was kind of the extent of what I saw the military's involvement with the COVID rollout. What did you do specifically? I know we talked about it before, but just
Oh yeah. So I started in Boise for a couple of days before they gave me travel orders, and I was just kind of helping out front desk clinic. It was pretty basic. But they moved me up to Moscow, so about 5.5 hours north of Boise. And so I'm helping out the hospital that's in town here. We do all the scheduling, appointment reminders, field all the phone calls for people that have questions about the side effects or availability of dosages, dates, that sort of thing. And then twice a week, we're probably bumping it up to 3, depending on how many people sign up, because we just lowered our age limit. But twice a week we help out the clinics. Older people have a lot more mobility issues than college students, so we had a whole bunch of amenities set up, wheelchair access vans and carts and stuff like that to help people get in and out of the clinic, helping people get all their cards scanned, registered, organized, given directions, that sort of thing. And then a few times, or about once every other month or so, we help out with testing and swabbing and stuff. Like, I don't do any swabbing because I'm not
okay. All right,
certified,
that was my follow-up question.
Yeah. No, we have a large medical detachment in Idaho with a few hundred medical personnel. We don't have any of them up here, so it's the hospital staff has quite a few nurses and PAs, stuff like that are helping with issuing the shots and the swabs. But in other parts of the state, they got a whole bunch of medics lined up, giving doses and doing tests and all that jazz.
Okay. Yeah. When COVID got rolling, I felt like there's so much fear everywhere. I'm sure you felt it too, be on the military side of it all.
How did it feel to finally give some people relief? Like at least getting the first one done. It's like it's getting close. How'd you feel being a part of that step?
It was pretty good. The public here, like I said earlier, there's a lot of people that wanted the vaccine, a lot of people that don't, and I'm just kind of here to help. So we've had a few people kind of like, what are you guys doing here? Do you believe in this and all that jazz? And I was like, I'm here for my community. That's as far as I'm going to tell you. I mean, my personal opinion doesn't matter. I'm here to help people that want help and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So I was pretty happy that the older crowd got through pretty efficiently. Kind of let stuff reopen again. I know a lot of the college students are pretty stoked about getting their first vaccine so they can go back to the bars and get blackout drunk and get shit faced and do all the things that college students do.
This is true. That's immediately like, I don't think they're excited to get their vax to go back in the classroom. I'm sure to some degree, but they're more excited to like go to the college bars and be with their friends again and just, stumble into like a Qdoba near door and then just eat a bunch of drunken burritos.
Oh yeah, we had this one girl. We just did our the campus just came back from spring break, and so we had to do all their testing and everything. And so I was like talking to people because it was kind of weird just having them stare at me while I was filling out their information. And I was like, what you guys doing on your break? You do anything fun? This one girl's like, I went to Florida, and I was like, oh, do you have family there? She goes, nah, there's just no rules there. I just kind of wanted to feel like life was normal for a week before I came back. I was like, so you got completely fucked up? She goes, oh, I got so fucked up, I barely remember it. I was like, that's awesome. Good for you. That's what, the fun part of being young.
That is true. Like you can make those reckless mistakes and then you can always just recover because it's not life or death.
Yeah, hangovers don't last 2 or 3 days when you're 20.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you went into military right out of high school. Do you ever miss that college experience of, the college campus life and all that?
There was like a part of me that does, but like I had a friend from Westview. She turned 21 like right when I came home on a 2-week leave. And so I drove to Corvallis and I hung out with her and her sorority sisters and a bunch of the frat guys. And I was like, yeah, my unit on active duty was the 82nd Airborne, and our patch is an AA, and it stands for All American. There's a whole bunch of history behind that, but most of the military calls us the All Alcoholics because all you do is drink excessively. Like we used to party till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and then you wake up at 5:30 or 6 and you go run 8 to 12 miles, or you're doing a ruck march with a 50-pound pack or something like that. And I think about doing that now, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I would have a heart attack. Like I drink one beer and I think about going on a 12-mile run and I just start throwing up. But like I got like bits and pieces of the college experience, and after I left active duty, I went to PCC for about a year and a half, and just didn't really feel like it was for me. I was pretty content with the military life and all that jazz, and I landed a pretty awesome job here in Idaho as a mechanic for the state. And one of the requirements is you have to be a National Guard member in order to do that. So they did on-the-job training. They sent me to schools pretty regularly, and it's a pretty sweet job. So I never really saw myself doing the whole office life. It was never really for me.
Which is what I'm doing, but it's still not like it's fun. But sometimes I do like being outside because I was a landscaper for about 3 months or so. And that was fun just to be out and about, just to, not have an office setting, just be able to have the car be my office for quote unquote. And take me everywhere. And then the outdoors is everywhere in my office. But
I gotta say, my schedule is definitely my favorite. I work 4/10s, so Tuesday through Friday I work and I get 3 days off. But now we have tanks, armored personnel carriers, ammo carriers for mobile artillery units, pickup armored trucks, all kinds of engineered equipment for like digging tank ditches or trenches and stuff like that. So we have something like 8 or 9 vehicles, and then each of those has anywhere from 1 to 4 variants. So you're always kind of working on something new, learn something new every day. So it kind of keeps everything interesting.
Yeah, because it's when I'm a creature of habit. I like a little routine. So I could see how changing that up periodically can keep things fresh and also keep your eyes like a little more, your head on a swivel, as the sports terms used to be. But yeah, so you went to PCC for nursing.
I
Why
was
nursing?
thinking about doing nursing, and then that just looked like an absolute nightmare once I started doing my prereqs. And I was like, maybe I'll just get my general studies for my associates and kind of play it by ear and see what interests me from there. And I don't know, I just I was in the dumb people. I wasn't necessarily say the dumb people class, but it'd been 5 years since I was in any kind of school other than military stuff. So they had me do my pre-entry test, and of course I didn't study for any of that. So they put me in like the basic level algebra class, and there's all those kids that do the early college and stuff like that. So there's 16, 17, 18-year-olds there, and I was 23, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm a grandpa compared to these people. This is a fucking nightmare.
No, yeah, I took community college for I think the first couple of years when I went down to Eugene, and yeah, it was very much of a mixed bag of like aged folks. So I remember I would see like maybe someone close to my age. I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. Someone I can actually like talk to as some relations. But then some of those older folks also they're pretty fun. They're pretty cool. I mean, you got hit on by an older woman that was getting her shot on. Oh, wait, multiple older women. Oh, someday we'll be like that, just hit on random people for no reason whatsoever.
I'm super stoked for when I get old. I don't care about like the time off. I don't care about any of that. I just want to be able to loudly fart in public and not be judged for it. Because like I do that already and I get judged for it. But like if you're like 70 and up, they're just like, oh, he's an older guy. It's okay. It's like that's the dream right there. Fart in public.
So the military, like from again going back to before we started recording, I feel like it amplified your craziness.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
I when I first signed up, I really wanted to go to Ranger selection, and so they have Ranger School, which is like a leadership program, pretty hard school, and then they have the actual Ranger Regiment, and there's like the Special Forces dude that just they do all the crazy awesome stuff. They go to all the hot zones and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea for me. So I went through my basic training and I went to my job school. I was a logistics specialist when I first came in. And after I finished my job school, so I went from Kentucky to Virginia. And then from Virginia, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia. And that's where I did my airborne school. And I'm terrified of heights. And so that was exhilarating. Once you're out of the plane, it's not that bad. You have a crazy wide view of everything, and you really have no choice once you're out of the plane. But I definitely hesitated on my second jump for just a split second, and then the jump master was like, "Okay," and just kicked me in the back and launched me out of that plane.
Oh my God.
And then my fourth jump, so you have to do 5 qualifying jumps in order to get certified as a paratrooper. And my fourth jump, my main chute cigarette rolled, which means it's just a tube like that. It's not actually open. Mm-hmm. So I start yanking on my reserve chute's handle. And normally these things, you flick them and it'll pop open and your reserve chute comes out. Mine didn't do that. So I was free falling a bit, straight up shit my pants. That's not an exaggeration. It went in there. And I was like, hey, at least I'm going to die doing something really cool. And maybe they'll think I shit myself after I died, so it'd be fine. And then I felt this really hard snap on my shoulder, and I looked up, and my chute opened up about 2/3 of the way, and then this gust of wind hit me, and I backflopped in a marsh. Didn't break anything, just a couple bruises, but I was laying there, just staring. I was like, I don't know what the hell just happened. I don't know if I'm dead or alive right now. And I had this in airborne school, they have jump masters all over the drop zone to tell you what you messed up on. This guy walks over, kind of leans in on his hands and knees and goes, "Welcome to heaven." And I just, if I hadn't already shit myself, I definitely would have at that point. But he was like, "So hey, I got great news for you." I was like, "What's that, Sergeant?" He's like, you still get to jump again tomorrow." And I was like, oh, sweet. But I finished airborne school and I went to Ranger selection, and you do a pre-course where you roughly train about 20 hours a day. And they have this whole obstacle course. They have this 600 or 700 pound log, and you pick that up with a squad worth of people. you'll run around a 1/4 mile track, and then you do this whole obstacle course. And then once they've done that for about 2 miles worth of carrying the log, then you get to go inside once you're exhausted, and you take classes on the history of the Ranger unit. And then if anyone falls asleep, which they always do because everyone's exhausted, then you get the shit smoked out of you again. You'll go back to the obstacle course, which is conveniently right outside the school. But I ended up blowing my knee out. I did that pre-course, and then I went to the actual course. And at the end of the first week, we were doing this trail run through the woods. And I was going down this ravine. They got this rope so you kind of shimmy yourself down. And I got my foot stuck in this dry creek bed. And I was reaching down to pull my foot out, and this huge dude behind me let go of the rope and just started rolling, hit me, and then my knee bent outwards. And nested pretty good. My femur hit the back of my kneecap. So I had like a 6-month recovery time, and so I got dropped from the program, and they sent me to the 82nd Airborne in North Carolina. And I got there. It was a ghost town. I couldn't find anybody. So you'll do 3 days in processing. You get all your equipment, your extra uniforms, your unit assignment, all that jazz. So I got to my unit in North Carolina, and I'm walking in. I got all my duffel bags and my rucksack. I'm looking around. I go to the headquarters building. I set my stuff down. I'm just kind of waiting. About 5 minutes goes by, and the sergeant walks out eating an apple. And he was like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like, I'm Private Eiland, Sergeant. He's like, "I don't know an Eiland." It's like, "Oh, okay. Are you new?" I was like, yes, Sergeant, I'm new." He's like, "All right. Are you packed?" "Yeah, still packed. I've been here about 10 minutes now, Sergeant." He's like, "All right, don't unpack." I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "You're gonna leave for Iraq in 2 weeks." I was like, "Oh, fuck you. Okay then." So yeah, my dad brought my girlfriend out for a weekend before I left. My mom came out the weekend before that. And then I remember in 6th grade, I told I was sitting at breakfast, my mom, my brother, and my mom had the news on, and there was all this stuff going on in Iraq. And I was like, "I'm going to join the army when I'm 18. And my mom goes, "You're an idiot. There's still going to be a war going on." And I said, "There's no way that it's going to be lasting that long." So the first thought in my mind when I landed in Kuwait to get transferred over to Iraq, I was like, "Son of a bitch, she was right." So I called her, and she was like, "Yeah, do you remember that conversation when you were in 6th grade?" I was like, "You remember that?" But no, we got pretty wild. There was the airborne unit I was in. You get in barracks brawls all the time. Like 1 minute you'll just be barbecuing, somebody's drunk, they throw a punch, then everybody's just fighting in the barracks, and then everyone just kind of stops, and you look at each other, and you just go right back to drinking and eating and hanging out. We had a couple of unofficial rules in my unit. You had to in order to be a true paratrooper, you had to take a PT test while drunk and score a 270 out of 300. You had to take one hungover and score a 270 out of 300. And you also had to jump, and you had to jump drunk and hungover at least once. So I knocked all that out pretty quick. Yeah.
So okay, so there are a few things I want to unpack real quick. So during that parachute training you did, where it's you landed in the marsh. Now, how are you hyping yourself up? How are you like getting yourself to like get over that edge to get yourself going? And still, because I've for people who have listened to the show, I have anxiety, so it's like thinking about like, oh, I would jump, and then what if this doesn't happen? Oh, what if that doesn't happen? Like when your chute wasn't opening. How'd you stay cool in that situation?
You don't. Yes. Yeah, you don't. So there hasn't been a combat jump like into a foreign country since 2001.
Mm-hmm.
There's a unit called the 173rd. They're based in Italy, and they did a jump into Afghanistan. But I mean, we moved through during the invasion in what's that, 03, 04. The U.S. troops got to Baghdad in less than 30 days. It's no point in dropping paratroopers in. No, so the main thing, so you're sitting on the plane, you got your chute and everything on, you're kind of standing there, and you see a lot of, some guys have 1,000-yard stare, other guys are just adrenaline junkies that are going ape shit, and the jump master will stand up and he'll flash his hands 10 minutes, and then he does the hook up So you'll hook your cable inside the plane. Then you just check equipment. So you check the guy's pack in front of you, make sure there's nothing loose or frayed or sitting out or anything. And then he says 1 minute, and they open the door, and then everybody just starts screaming. You just start yelling. You start, you just do all this stuff and get all hyped up. You got all the Air Force crew members that are looking at you like you're absolutely insane. And the one way I was able to get out of that plane, the closest I ever was I was the third jumper. So I was right next to the door, and you can just see everything wishing by. And in airborne school, you jump at 1,200 feet, and in your actual unit, you usually jump around 800. So the joke was that if you have a parachute malfunction, you have the rest of your life to fix it. And so that was kind of something we told each other. And I would just stare at the person's helmet in front of me. I was like, if they can make it out of the plane, I can fucking make it out of this plane. And so you'll come up to the jump master. You have your static line because your parachute opens with your body weight. There's nothing that you pull yourself unless it's a reserve chute. And so you'll hand off your static line. Jump master will grab it. You let go. He or she pulls it back, and then you just kind of turn and hurl yourself out of that plane. But once you get any part of yourself, like one time my foot came out just a little bit, and it like sucked me right out of the plane, and I slammed my head on the inside of the door frame. Ooh. Don't remember like 5 hours of my life, but apparently I was still conscious. I was just blacked out. It was weird. The next memory I had was I remember being in the chute shed, getting everything put on, and then the next thing I remember was I was on a bus, and I was sitting next to my sergeant. I was like, where the fuck are we? Mm-hmm. She's like, on a bus. I was like, yeah, but like geographically, where are we? I don't know, 20 minutes outside of base, and the drop zone's like an hour and a half away. And I was just like, oh. She's like, what's wrong with your eyes? I said, let me look at it. I don't fucking know. And she was like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. My head really hurts. And she's like, what's the last thing you remember? And I told her, she's like, you're not going to sleep tonight. And I was like, oh, awesome. That sounds great for me. But no, you just kind of roll with it, like I'm a sergeant, so I'm in charge of people. At one point I had 9 guys under me, and I usually get the newer privates because I do a lot of the training when I was at dismount, because I do reconnaissance. I'm a cavalry scout for the Army now in the National Guard. And so I teach guys how to build observation posts, how to get into them without being seen, different ways to mask your heat signature from thermals, and all kinds of other stuff. And like there will be times, we were in California 2 years ago, and they talk about burros. They're wild donkeys, and they specifically tell you not to fuck with the wildlife. And so like these burros can kill you. Like, don't try and fight them. And I leaned over to my buddy, and I was like, is it weird that I want to fight one more now? And he's like, honestly, I was thinking the same thing. Well, we did like all of our prep and then our field training. We were kind of back, and we had a few days after we got everything packed. We were just waiting to come back to Idaho, and we were walking through the middle of base, and there was a burro like in the middle of the street just kind of staring at us. And it was 2 of my buddies that are sergeants, and then a few of our younger privates, and they all heard, and my buddy just goes, hey, didn't you say you wanted to fight one of those? And I was like, yeah, I do. Hold my bag. So I'm like walking over to this thing. I was like, oh my God, please run away. Please run away. Please run away. Well, like, when you got the younger guys, you're supposed to seem bulletproof. Yeah. So follow you, right? And I'm like walking over, and the burro ended up like running off. I was like, yeah, what's up? And I was like, oh, that's my buddies. And he was laughing, and all the privates were like, Sergeant Eiland, are you fucking crazy? I was like, I don't know. My therapist said so. It's fine though. And then they just kind of get like this bigger than life picture of you. So, they listen, and it's pretty common for a lot of sergeants in the military, because we directly deal with, 18 to 22-year-olds that have fucking attitude problems. So
yeah. And then
they don't, larger than life is a pretty big help.
They want to just fight the order, the establishment. They're always just like reckless. And it's like, when you mentioned, I think it was before we recorded also that, they think you're psycho, so they'll listen to you. I very much remember that from high school as well. It's just like, you're the friendliest guy, but then the one time someone crosses you the wrong way, you will just jump down their throat. So it's
I don't ever yell. Like, in all the movies, the sergeants are always yelling and screaming. They call it the knife hand, keep your knife hand sharp. You're always pointing at people because it's rude to use an index finger. But I don't yell, because I learned that, because I got screamed at all the time. I was a huge pain in the ass for my leadership when I was a private, and I got screamed at, and it would just kind of go in one ear and out the other. I was like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
So I never did that. So the times that I do yell, it kind of has like a lot higher, like it means more.
Keoni Chats is proudly sponsored by Vibes Training. Dylan Vibes is a good friend and former guest of the show, and after he did his time as a trainer for the big fitness circuits, he wanted to be his own man. He wanted to be his own business. So I wanted to support him any way I could, so I wanted to give him this platform to shout out his business. So if you go to vibestraining.com, and then there's a blue button at the top of the screen, click on that, fill out the information field, and sign up to be one of his clients. And after you sign up, it won't just be his client, he'll prompt you to download his app, where you'll have a plethora of workouts ranging from 5 to 60 minutes, needing anything from maybe nothing, and then maybe some bands, and then you got some dumbbells, barbells, or even backpacks. So he's a very creative, he's very energetic, and he's even having workouts in the park. So if you follow his Instagram account, Vibes Training PDX, you can see that he brings his clients outside, because it is closer to springtime. I think it is springtime right now at the time of this recording. So, if you want to get some fresh air, be out in the sun, get some vitamin D, and also get a good workout in to show off for when summertime comes, because when summertime comes, that's tank top weather. So, check out vibestraining.com, get a good workout in, and then once you actually have the app, outside of the plethora of workouts, you'll have a community of other fitness enthusiasts that you can go to either A, celebrate the victories, or B, get your questions answered. And then also you have a platform to where you can keep track of all your progress. I know for myself, back when I was going to the gym prior to COVID, I would have a notebook and also try and remember to do more. And sometimes it is harder to push yourself to do more. So having Dylan there to help you, motivate you, and just help you get to the better you that you're looking to get, it's crucial. It's all the change in the world. So go to vibestraining.com, click on the blue button to sign up and get registered, and become one of Dylan's clients and become Vibe Fit today.
More. It means like, oh shit, Sergeant Eiland yelling at me. I really fucked up.
Yeah.
And we had this one kid that had an attitude problem, and I was like, "Hey man, can I just talk to you over here in private real quick?" He's like, "Yeah, Sergeant, sure." And he walked in, and I used to chew tobacco like a lot, so I put
I vaguely remember that. Yeah,
this fresh chew in my front lip, so it'd get the juices spraying, and I got our noses were touching, and I was screaming at him, completely caught him off guard. And he ended up openly sobbing and going and talking to our platoon sergeant. Because our platoon sergeant was he drove for our platoon sergeant, and we had this. His name was Sergeant Henry, a great guy, loved him to death. And he used to tell people I'll do the angry black man every once in a while. And he's like, you got to do that because there's so few of us in Idaho, so we got a good laugh out of it. So he comes out in our big hall where we're all kind of hanging out before formation. He's like, "Who the fuck made my driver cry?" And I turned around, I was like, "Yo." He's like, "That's some good shit." And then went back to it, turned around, looked at this kid. He's like, "Stop being a bitch," and then walked to his office, and we're all staring at him, and he started crying even harder. And I was like, "Dude, I don't know if this is the right fit for you, being in the military. It's a different beast."
Okay, so in the movies, you mentioned that this is totally different from the movies. How is there a movie that you've seen? Because you and I, we were big movie buffs back in high school days. I'm not sure how much you are nowadays because you are busy. Was there ever a movie that was very close to what the actual military life is like that you've seen?
Vince Vaughn in Hacksaw Ridge.
Really?
I will watch that shit. That basic training scene where he's fucking with everybody. It's my favorite scene. It's so funny. And I'll do stuff. I have my buddy Ellis. He is he straight shaves his head, and he's a bigger dude, and he just has he has one of those demeanors that you feel like you shouldn't fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
One of my best friends, and we'll sit there and we'll be giving weapons classes on our mounted weapons, and we had this one time this private was going through, and he's like, "And then we do this." He's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Well, or do you do this way?" He's like, "I don't know. Do you?"
Oh god.
Well, he's like, You don't seem too confident. Maybe you're wrong. He's like, oh, okay, well, then I'll do it this way. Like, I don't know, maybe you were right the first time. And then you're just kind of like, well, what the fuck? Or like I had a brand new private. My big pet peeve is the younger guys that just get peach fuzz on their face. They still have to shave, but they think they can get away with it. So we had this new private show up to my unit, and we were all doing our annual medical evaluation. So we're all in our PT uniforms, so you don't have name or rank or anything displayed. And I saw this kid, looks like he's 12 years old. He still does, and he's like 22 or 23 now. He's been in our unit for a few years, but he had this long peach fuzz on his face. So I just walked up and gripped and started ripping it out of his cheek. And he turned and squared up to me. He got this huge smile on my face. And one of my buddies leaned over and goes, by the way, that's a fucking sergeant. And then stepped back, and this kid's face just goes completely bug-eyed. He like put his hands behind his back and stood up straight. And I was like, not just any sergeant. I'm your sergeant. You're the new guy, and you're in my unit. And he was just like, and then Ellis goes, no, he's not. He's not a sergeant. Don't listen to him. I was like, see, now you don't know what to believe. These kids just started freaking out. So it was pretty entertaining.
When you got promoted to sergeant, were you just like, I can't wait to put these kids through hell? Or are you just like, I just can't wait to get these kids, like, to mess with them to a good degree, but also make sure that they're, set off in the right direction into their military career?
So the Army has something called the E4 Mafia. So E4 is your enlisted rank. So E1, 2, 3, 4. I'm at E5, so just your first level sergeant, and E4 is a specialist. And we had something called the E4 Mafia, and essentially the sergeants reviewing their admin stuff, or give the basics for training for the day, and then the E4 Mafia breaks in all the new guys. And so I was already pretty used to messing with people. My buddy in North Carolina, I used to just get hammered drunk, pound on some brand new private store at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. They wake up, you kind of do the face thing, you like move out of the way, you throw everything out of their kitchen and in their room, you're like, clean this shit up, like, I want it clean before morning formation. Then we just go back and pass out. And one time we forgot that he was in there, and so he was still cleaning his room, and we're at formation. We're like, "Where the fuck is the new guy?" And then it clicked. We're like, "Oh shit, he's waiting for us to do his room inspection." But no, when I got promoted, I had no idea what I was doing. Is what it felt like, at least. I'd only been in reconnaissance for like 2.5 years. I felt pretty green, and there was a mistake. You have a promotion list, so I was number 9 on the list for the state of Oregon. So I, figured I had a long time. And the security clearance packets by we have somebody who processes everything. He fucked up and didn't turn them in. So I went from number 9 to number 1, and he didn't tell anybody because he didn't want to get caught for his mistake. So it was kind of a sink or swim situation for me. My platoon sergeant at the time, he's like, hey, you're going to be a vehicle commander. I was like, nope, no, I'm not. He's like, yes, the fuck you are. God damn it. All right. So, it was a situation like that. I was like, I got to teach these guys as much as I can. So I'll give basic classes throughout the day. I'll randomly ask questions. I'm like, hey, why are you looking in that direction? They're like, well, because you told me to. I was like, I understand. I told you to. I want you to tell me why am I having to do that. So I whenever I get a new guy, like, yeah, I'll fuck with them. But every once in a while, like, we have a newer guy who's 36 years old, who's a police officer for a long time. He's experienced. Nobody fucked with him because we didn't have to. He's not some brand new kid who's first time out of his house. But the younger guys is generally who we'll fuck with. But I'm like, hey, I don't need anybody that just blindly follows orders. In fact, I will get rid of you so damn fast. If you do that, I'll make you somebody else's problem. If I have an idea and I give it to you guys and you think you have one better, speak up and tell me. That's all it takes. I want you to be, adults. Because we've got some kids, like we have got one guy, he's not in my platoon, he's in our company. Overheard him saying he's 22 years old, married, but he doesn't know any of his banking information because his mom still does all that for him. And I'm just like,
what?
Dude, and like I heard him say that, and I like looked over, and one of our higher sergeants like looked at me. She's like, "Shut the fuck up." I was like, "Okay, keep my fucking mouth shut." Then, but no, I take it pretty seriously. My lower enlisted, they're some of my best friends. One of them, I got lucky, lives here in Moscow. so I get to hang out with him from time to time. But I had him I was in charge of him for 3 years. Wicked smart kid. Love working with him, and he's well on his way to getting promoted once we have some open slots. But I love it. I love teaching. I don't ever want to be more than a staff sergeant, because once you get to that sergeant first class, you're in charge of the platoon. Not only that, there's very, very few slots in the state. I think there's 2, and there's like 80 scouts. So chances of getting promoted are pretty low. But no, it's all the bureaucracy, and the shit rolls downhill. That's what the platoon sergeant and the platoon leader, who's an officer, blocks. Staff sergeant, you just you get to stick with the guys and the gals, because we opened up combat arms to women a couple of years ago. So we just started getting some. We have our first brand new private who's female coming in. She actually, I think, just got to our unit this month, but I don't report to them until September, because I'm on these state orders. But I love it. I love teaching. I love training, and all that. I love scaring the shit out of people. We had a grenade range one day, and like the first time you handle a grenade, you're like, oh, okay, it's just a grenade. And then they'll put you in this bunker with all this bulletproof glass, like 100 meters away from where the grenade's being thrown, in basic training, and they'll throw the live grenade and it blows up, and you can hear the shrapnel hitting the glass in front of you. And then you're kind of like, oh fuck, that's got some punch to it. Like it's just this little baseball size thing, but it weighs a couple pounds. And once you use them a few times, there's 2 safety pins and all that jazz. Well, if you're not in a combat job, you generally don't handle grenades very much. So we had someone had ordered 900 hand grenades for a range for our entire battalion. That was going to be 1, maybe 2 in some scenarios for everybody. Well, 300 people showed up for the range. So we were giving people like, all right, fuck it. So we were handing them all these hand grenades, like, hey, hold your arms like this. We were stacking hand grenades on them. You see them go ghost white. Now I was in this, you have this concrete bunker that you throw out of, and the moment you throw the grenade, you duck down. And I was one of the range safeties, and this kid was like holding the grenade, like shaking his hands. I was like, hey man, you're really building a lot of confidence in me right now. But it's just, I understand that there's a safety pin on the lever. So you're going to roll that off. You're going to grab the ring, and you're going to twist and pull, keep your thumb on the spoon, and then you're just going to throw the motherfucker. If you want to, you can drop it right on the other side of the wall. We'll be perfectly safe. He was like, okay. I was like, that thing has a 5-meter kill radius, 15-meter wound radius. Was given all the information. I was like, it is completely and utterly safe while those pins are in it. I need you to take those pins out and throw it away from where we are. And just to be totally clear, if you drop it inside this bunker for whatever reason, I will attempt to save you. But if you resist me in any way, I will leave you to die in this concrete box. You would leave me? I was like, hey man, like brotherhood and uniform and all that. Like I totally get it. I will not die for you because you freeze up. I'll grab you. I'll pull you. If you resist, have fucking fun. It was great meeting you. Have a good day. I'm getting out of this fucking bunker. So he finally got the first pin off. I was like, ooh, we're getting close. We're getting somewhere. He got that ring out. I was like, now just hug that motherfucker. But please do it in that direction. Because if you throw it the other way, a lot of people are gonna get fucked up. So throw it that way. He was like, okay. So he finally threw it, and he was just standing there, like, head above the concrete and everything. So I reached up, and you have like a little pad in the back of your helmet. I grabbed it and just yanked him straight back, and he fell over, and the grenade went off. And I was holding his extra one, and I was standing there. I was like, see, not so bad, right? He's like, yeah, that wasn't bad at all. I was like, yeah, it builds confidence. The safety equipment works. You threw it. He's like, yeah. I was like, oh shit. And I dropped the grenade. And he like jumped and ran into the concrete wall. And I was like, I'm just fucking with you, man. The pins are there. You're totally fine. And then I was not allowed to be a range safety anymore.
How was this developing process for you to kind of develop your own leadership style?
I had a lot of different leadership coming into the military. I was for a long time keeping in touch with one of my drill sergeants. I mean, they used to call me Face, because I was a smart ass to him, like our second day of basic training. So he used to take Sharpies and draw different faces on my face. And he's like, I can't change your ugly fucking face, but I can try. He did that for like every day for 4 weeks. But he was kind of joking about it. And then my first team leader, who was a sergeant, once I got to the 82nd, I met her once I landed in country. She was a hard motherfucker. She is a badass. Like, this is a woman who jumped out of a plane, when there was 20 knots of wind on the ground, which is absolutely sometimes you don't jump. There was a malfunction with the lights on the door, so it turned green, and a few people got out of each side of the plane before the jump master were able to stop them. And she landed and tore all the ligaments in her hips and didn't know. So she was still running. She was still ruck marching with like a 60 or 70-pound pack. Like, she's a hard son of a bitch. And so her leadership style, like, she was pretty hardcore for the first year or so that she was in charge of me. I had a staff sergeant here in Idaho, really nice guy. He was in the Marines for 8 years, got out for like 5 years, and then was like, I miss teaching soldiers. I miss teaching the younger guys. So that's when he joined the National Guard here in Idaho. He was a great mentor, but I just I saw what worked for me personally, and I've gotten good at kind of reading people. After the first couple of times of seeing these guys. After the first couple of times of seeing these, you can kind of pick up on what does and doesn't work for them. It's all about reading people. You got to know what works for one guy or gal is not going to work for another, and kind of knowing who works best with who. So I was able to, I was a section sergeant or a squad leader. I had picked 2 team leaders, and I was like, hey, this guy's got this personality. This guy's got this personality. These younger privates have similar ones. So I'm going to put those guys together so they can, teach. Mm-hmm. And then I would swap them. I'm like, hey, so now that you know how to teach people like you, teach somebody like someone else, and gotta get a broader range. But it's all trial and error. That's really what it is.
Yeah, because that's awesome. That's completely awesome that you're able to like get this new kind of like leadership style adapted to what's best for you, and hopefully adapted to what's best for this next person. What about when you tried to, I'm trying to think, like you're helping a soldier become, get the training, get all this, the basics down, and then do you ever like feel bad when sometimes you try to use your smart aleckness or your other kind of teaching styles and it just fails and you just see them struggle? How do you feel when you see one of your own unit members struggle because maybe your leadership wasn't just working for them?
We got 8, we call them NC non-commissioned officers is what a sergeant is. We have 8 non-commissioned officers in my platoon. Everybody's got a different leadership style. So if something I'm doing is not working, we can always shift them over to someone else.
Okay.
And try it from there. We had one kid who just, he was falling asleep on guard duty. I don't take that very lightly. That's something that can get 30 people killed. So I nipped that in the ass as fast and aggressively as humanly possible. But he was falling asleep on guard duty. He just, he didn't want to be in the field. Kind of felt like he was an outcast and all that stuff. And I was like, hey man, we're gonna have a heart-to-heart. Talk to me. What's going on? What's bugging you? What can I do differently? What can anyone do differently? And it's like I'm at the point where I want to bar you from enlistment, so you can't stay in the military, because I personally feel like this is not the lifestyle for you. We had a long talk with him, and I was like, it's not that you're bad at this job, so don't think that I'm giving you shit, but maybe there's a different job out there for you.
Okay.
So I suggested like a softer skill, like mechanic work, logistics or supply, something in admin, because he's organized. He can, he can do all that. But he ended up choosing combat engineers, which are dudes that deal with explosives and takes, a little bit of focus. And I was like, hey man, to each their own. Yeah. Do your thing. Like, not my problem anymore. We had a lot of issues with for a long time, so it just kind of depends. But there are some cases, some guys they'll get in thinking it'll be one way and they hate it. And I personally, I don't want to go to a combat zone with someone who genuinely does not want to be there. That's a kind of a recipe for disaster. So there are ways to get out of the military. It's not frowned upon by any means. Some people just aren't cut out for it, and that's okay. I think that's what a lot of guys that come through basic and they're like, oh my God, like I hate this, but like I don't want everyone to hate me or think less of me, and that's not how it is. As long as you're not an asshole. But I'm pretty fortunate with the guys I serve with. We're all pretty understanding people, and so if we do run into a guy like that, we had one that we ended up discharging with under medical reasons and stuff like that. So it's not frowned upon. I know a lot of people think it is, but it's usually just the younger guy. It's like, hey, I want you to want to be here. Like, I want to be here. I love my field time. I love my training. If you don't love it, then this isn't for you, and that's okay. So it just kind of, like I said, varies on the person. But it's not for everyone.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome too, because granted, the only experience I have with the military is my aunt, for example, and then with movies, all I see is just they get yelled at if they aren't succeeding. To know that there is an easy way to like find a new avenue if this is not the right military path for you. That's gonna make it less intimidating to be a part of the military.
Yeah,
because that passion to like want to help your country is awesome, but there's other ways you can channel that if this path you originally thought of is not great. When it can be applied to life, really.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
and that's like one thing a lot of people ask, politics are nuts right now. They have been for a while. And I've had a ton of people ask me, like, how can you continue to serve the government? I was like, whoa. I serve my country and I serve my people. You can love your flag and not like the people in charge, and that's perfectly okay. I was talking to, we have a lot of college students will drive like the golf carts we have available for the elderly to transport them up to the vaccine clinic from the parking lot. And I was like, my oath is to the Constitution and the people of the United States, and I take that very seriously. That's what I believe in. I was like, there's one politician I report to, and that is the commander-in-chief, the president. That's it. I don't care who's in charge. He's the boss. And that's as simple as it is. And no matter who it is, I don't care what their political leanings are or anything like that. If they're telling me to do something that I feel is morally wrong, I have an obligation to deny those orders. So that's part of the oath that you take when you initially enlist, and every time you re-enlist, you restate the oath that you start with. And so we've got a ton of guys that feel the same way.
Yeah. And then did you keep track of any of the political stuff that went on? I sort of did, because I figured might as well now versus never. So it was a little overwhelming for me, but for you to be like also part of the military, part of that whole sector of the government, what were your thoughts on basically how the election went down and everything else?
I think it's absolutely batshit bonkers right now, but I mean, so was the last election. I try to pay attention to some of that because it, in a lot of cases, directly affects my job. But they asked for volunteers to go to DC during the protests, and I didn't feel like I was like, this isn't something. This isn't my fight. I'm here for the people, and there was the issue. A lot of people saw the National Guard as like the oppressors that were there. I mean, I don't blame them. That's what we looked like. But if you ask any of the guys that wanted to go there, they were like, oh, we were there to kind of be a barrier so people could do their protests, but still be safe. And it got pretty crazy, and people reacted. And that's kind of that's what happens in a lot of those situations, and it's unfortunate. And I had a lot of buddies that went on that first DC rotation and didn't go on the second one. They're like, I don't want to be in the middle of that again. I'm here for the people, and I don't want to be seen as some kind of oppressor, something like that. And I was in the same boat. But I'm allergic to politics, very allergic to politicians. So.
Yeah, it's trying to figure out exactly like let's say the voting, for example. It's like I was trying to figure out, okay, if I vote for this will happen, but wait, what if, because there's like so many other things to factor in when it comes to like politics and everything else. So I understand your allergy to that, because I believe I feel that the same way too.
Yeah,
right here, brother.
I just want people to have their freedom of choice.
Yeah,
that's my big thing. Like, my ideals should not be pushed on you. And so like I got buddies that are very left leaning. I got buddies that are very right leaning. I'm kind of right in the middle. I think both sides have good ideas. I think both sides have bad ideas. But I'm still friends with them. I talk to them like, hey, why do you feel this way, or why do you feel that way? It's not like it's going to change my mind, but at least I taking rights away from people no matter what they are.
Yeah.
I know there was a huge topic with abortion rights in Georgia, something like that, where they were trying to, I don't know if they actually did, because I didn't look into it that heavily, but they were making it illegal to get an abortion. And I was just like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter if I believe in it or not. Why are you taking, just because you think that it's wrong, doesn't mean that someone else does. You also don't know the situation they've been in, or what their life, like what kind of life they have. Like, it's just, they're going to be a better judge of what they should do than somebody on the complete opposite side of the country. Like, why would my vote count for somebody in Pennsylvania or Rhode Island or New York? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm all for make your decisions, and as long as you're not doing anything wildly illegal, like robbing banks or anything like that, I mean, the world's your oyster. Just accept people for who they are.
After a brief intermission due to technical difficulties, we're back. We're back. So yeah, the last thing I heard you say was that you don't want people to, you don't want to force your opinions on people, because it's like
exactly
you should just be able to make up your own decisions because you're adults.
Yeah, and so like my big thing was, when I enlisted, they pretty much give you everything. Your uniforms, your living situation. They tell you what to do all the time. And I feel like there were two things that were truly mine, and my opinion and my name. And so, I kind of built this mentality that, like, people's opinions, it's their one true freedom in life. Like, no one can take your opinion away from you. And so I don't know. I never felt like I should be making decisions for people that have absolutely no effect in my personal life or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. I know it's like I see someone down the street, and then for me, when with COVID, the masks, because I see some people like just have it under their nose or just like on their chin. It's like, I want to say something, but I'm not like on the same side street as they are, so it's like, also maybe they're more down the street and I'm heading opposite direction, so it's like I should say something, but it's also like I don't really feel the need to push my opinion on someone who's not even gonna affect my life at all.
Yeah, and it's like, like I didn't really care for the mask, but I always wore it when I was going out in public and stuff like that. Because I had my own idea, I was like, I don't know if it's that dangerous, because this was when it all first started. I was like, I don't know if this is that dangerous. Like, both sides of the media have been blowing a lot of things out of proportion lately. How seriously should I take this? But I mean, regardless, I still wore one when I went out, because I know a lot of people were scared, and that's perfectly normal. I didn't want to add to that fear. I was like, hey, it is absolutely zero inconvenience to me to put something over my face. If anything, it just hides my ugly mug. So it's a win-win for everybody. But no, I saw a lot of like videos of people marching through like big stores with no mask on, like, take your mask off, it's the oppression of freedom. And I was like, dude, if you think wearing a mask is an oppression of freedom,
You got what's going on with your life?
one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Just put the damn thing on. It's not rocket science, just wear it, have some common courtesy for your fellow man.
Yeah, and like, so I'm dating someone now, but when I was single and during COVID, the mask add a little bit of mystery. I see a woman, it's like I just see the eyes up. I'm like, what's going on under there? What's how does this look? Do you even have a mouth? Do you have a face? What's going on? But it was always a nice little surprise when, like, you're sitting for dinner and then they take it off. You're like, oh, that's what you look like. Okay.
There was I got a captain that's kind of running things in this particular district, and I've only ever seen him with a mask on, because he kind of come in and check in on clinics. And someone told me he's got like a crazy awesome like Tom Selleck mustache, and I'm just like, sir, can you just like a little bit? He's like, no, I like mystery. I was like, God damn it, I'm so curious. I gotta see his mustache.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay, I'll pay you. I will pay you. This could be the new form. This could be a new form of strip club. There you go.
Oh yeah. Take your mask off, but do it slowly.
Slowly. There's not a whole lot of real estate to cover. So.
Oh yeah.
How's your family been, by the way? Like, we didn't talk about that prior to the recording.
They're good. My mom, retired for about 8 minutes, and then got a part-time job as I think she is doing some lobbying for a firm in Portland.
Oh wow.
My dad is.
Keoni Chats is proudly sponsored by Cove Hard Yerba Mate. Josh Mackler is a good friend and former guest of the show, and when he had his episode, we talked a little bit afterwards, and he was so generous to send me a case of his products, just a sample, and I gotta say, I still to this day enjoy the berry flavor just because of my preference towards a little tarty, a little citrusy, and it hit all those favorite flavors and just also made me feel not so heavy after drinking it, which is very key because as spring is approaching, which also means summer is approaching, which means nice weather, tank top weather, don't want to feel too thick in the midsection area. So Josh's Hard Yerba Mate is the perfect drink to go to. If you would like to get a little loosened up, maybe you're at the river with some friends and you're kind of tired of those other seltzers, hard seltzers, you're like, I'm okay, I want to try something different. This is the product for you. So if you'd like to try some of Josh's Hard Yerba Mate, go to hardyerba.mate.com, HARDYERBAMATE.com, and then click around, look at some of his products. He has either A, a variety pack, or B, individual flavor packs. So once you're done, use the discount code Keoni Chats Cove. That's KEONICHATSKOVE for 25% off your total purchase. That's huge because 25% off, that can be like $5 to $6 depending on what you get. When Josh mentioned this and then he told me like, hey, here's a discount code, I honestly did think it was like something 10 to 15% range because that seems fair. But when he said 25% off, I was like, wow, that's awesome. That's super kind, super generous. So everyone check out Cove Hard Yerba Mate. You must be 21 and over to purchase any alcohol from Cove. And everyone, please enjoy responsibly.
Fully retired and living large. He had a condo in downtown Portland for a long time, and he and his girlfriend just sold that. I don't know if you remember Dana when we were in high school. Shorter gal.
I think I just met her once because I remember going to your dad's house like once. I was more at your mom's house.
Yeah. But no, they have a house somewhere in Beaverton. Emily is living in Seattle with her boyfriend. I got to see them for Thanksgiving. She's working for Amazon, and then my brother got married like a year after I got back from active duty, just like 2015 or 16. And he's got 2 kids. He's working for Nike, so I got those sweet discounts.
Yeah, there you go.
Usually make a trip or two to the employee store when I'm in town.
You get the military discount too, right?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But no, they're doing pretty good. My dad does a lot of fishing, bike riding, and my mom got a house across the street from my brother and my sister-in-law, so she plays Nana pretty regularly.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
Oh yeah, to help my brother and my sister-in-law out because they're still, they're working, or I don't know if they still are, but they were working from home, and daycares were closed down, so trying to do your job and manage a 3-week-old and a 3-year-old is kind of a pain in the ass from what I've been told. So my mom used to take them for a few hours and spend time with them. She's loving it. So she's like, she's not like firm. She's not too firm with them or anything like that. Like, how can you spoil the shit out of them? You were a hard ass on me. She's like, because they're not mine, and grandmas are supposed to spoil their grandchildren. I'm like, all right, you got me there. So
yeah, I remember that's what my mom would always say. She's like, when you have kids, I'm just going to spoil them to give them back to you. And plus, we're going to live on the same street together. I was like, no.
Well, that sounds like a living hell. Thank you for the offer, though.
It's like, I love you to death because you gave me life, but it's like, I need my space. I need to be able to grow on my own. But so for you being the child of divorced parents, what was that like? What was that child like? I just remember like a few times where you were not the happiest man to be around, and just because of the just jumping back and forth, maybe some arguments between parents. What would you say? How was that growing up with that? Because I'm a kid of separated parents, so it's not as finalized as you and your families, but how was that growing up?
You know, when I was younger, I barely understood what the hell was going on. So I was like, all right, we got two houses. That's totally normal, I guess. And you know, it wasn't until I got to kind of like middle school is when I kind of started like understanding what was going on. But no, I mean, both my parents, they got different parenting styles. My dad was huge on sports. So, you know, whenever I was at my dad's house where I was practicing lacrosse, he didn't really know like anything about wrestling. So
Yeah.
that wasn't a huge thing for him. But lacrosse and soccer with my brother and sister, he was pretty adamant about those and making sure all our homework was done, stuff like that. He took us to Bend a lot. And then my mom, you know, she was working a shit ton because she's a workaholic, but she, you know, she wanted to spend the majority of her time with my brother, sister, and I. So we got to go on a few trips out of the country. Went to Europe for a spring break one year. Got to see Italy and Corsica, both awesome. But you know, in high school was different. You know, my sister and I didn't have the best relationship. We were always fighting, way more than siblings definitely should.
I remember that too. I remember that too.
And you know, there were times, you know, like you tell yourself when you're younger, you know, my dad was just trying to keep the peace, and so is my mom. And of course, you know, if they even take someone else's side for a split second, they're now your enemies too. So there was, you know, there was some arguing for a little while, but I think I was just tired. I used to go back and forth every week between houses, and then we moved it to every 2 weeks. Then like my junior year of high school, I just lived with my dad, and I'd, you know, grab dinner or lunch with my mom a few times a week and spend some time with her on the weekends. And then senior year, I flipped it. I spent the majority of the time at my mom's house, saw my dad for lunch and weekends and stuff like that. So once I kind of fully understood what was going on and, you know, realized what they were trying to do, trying to help, you know, be parents, it's never easy from what I've been told. um, it was once I understood it, it got a lot easier. So.
Yeah, and your brother is a parent. So did he
Oh yeah.
have you and him talked about like the whole your guys' childhood and be like, okay, I kind of get how mom was on this thing. I kind of get how dad was on this thing, but you know, just want to make sure you're their own person.
Not a ton. I mean, Eddie's almost 8 years older than I am. So, you know, he was in college when I was in middle school, so he wasn't around a ton. We didn't really have much of a relationship for a while. And then when I, you know, told my family, I was like, hey, so I did something today. I enlisted in the army, and I was like, what? And I'm like, yep, that was talked about it. Like, well, we thought you were just, you know, thinking about it. I was like, nah, that's what I want to do. So brother started talking to me more, and I tell you, you know, he and my sister and my dad, mom, and all that, they would write me letters when I was deployed, kind of keep me up on things. And you know, my brother and I didn't have a ton in common, different personalities, I guess, but he's like super handy with his hands. He's building all this stuff with wood. It's awesome. Like he's really good at it, and he is a hell of a lot smarter than I am. But no, once my nephew, once they, you know, my brother and his wife found out they were pregnant, started spending a lot more time with them, hanging out with my nephew as much as possible. I probably video chat with my brother and my nephew about once a month, once every other month.
Hmm.
So I'd definitely say our relationship's gotten a lot better. I know a lot more about him. He's bad. He's fighting out of his weight class with his wife. She is like a spectacular person, and the whole family loves her. But yeah, we didn't really. I don't know. Like even my sister and I, we don't really talk about the whole divorce thing. It was just, you know, it happened when I was like 4 or 5 years old, so it was
Hmm.
just kind of a part of my entire upbringing. So it didn't seem out of place because I
Hmm.
just kind of got used to it. But I mean, I'm sure if it happened later, I know it was a lot harder on my brother because he fully understood what was going on and all that jazz. But never, I guess I never really asked him about it.
Yeah, it's you know, having that kind of family split was hard for you know, I saw it harder on you and to just hear what you just said, you know, it's I can feel it, I can see it, I can imagine it because you know, I had to face that to some degree. It was just me. My brother was already in college, and then I just remember my mom and dad having an argument about where I'm gonna stay, basically deciding for me. Like, you know, my dad stayed in the Beaverton house that you went to a few times. My mom moved to Hillsborough. They're like, he's gonna stay with me. He's gonna stay with me. And I was just like, I'm just gonna walk out. And I'm gonna go to the park. I just don't want to
Yeah.
be. It's just. And then now to this day, where like, you know, we're approaching 30, where like, hey, that's insane to say.
Yeah, I know, right? My
Yeah.
girlfriend's turning 25 soon, and
Mm.
she like I'll start standing. I have like no cartilage in my knees. I have really bad knees from being a paratrooper and all the rucking and running and all that stuff. So like I'll stand up and I do like that old man groan. It's like like that grunt. And she's like,
I do that too. I
"You
do it
want to
too.
walk her?" And I'm like, "You know what? Fuck you, man. That's rude. I'm not that old."
No,
She's like,
yeah.
"Your hairline would say differently." And I'm like, "All right, sweet. I'm gonna sleep on the couch."
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, we're getting closer to 30, and then also like we're getting to that point where like marriage is starting to become a realistic conversation, because when we had that conversation we were like 18, 19, 20. That's like, oh, that's been like 20 years or so. But it's like that's something that's, potentially on the horizon for us. And to see how our families handled for me at least, I'm just like, I want to make sure that I'm better.
My girlfriend and I met during court, like right before everything shut down. Um, we we met and hung out for a few hours, and then ended up she came over. I think it was like our second or third date. I had Walking Dead on, and she's like, "Oh my god, I love this show." I was like, "I just restarted it." So that was like our whole relationship was just
Mm.
binge watching Walking Dead. And like we'd be sitting there, and she looked at me. She's like, "Once this show is over, it's like, am I even gonna want to see you again?" I was like, "I know, right? It's like, what's the point? Once the show's done, it's done."
Yeah.
That was like our running joke for a while, and we're like, "All right," like we finished that last episode. She's like, "All right, well, it was nice meeting you," and just like left. I was like, "Bitch." No, we hung out a lot over the summer and stuff like that. But like when I first went back to work, because I'm a federal technician, so technically I'm a civilian, but in order to save money, we just wear our uniforms to work instead of having a coverall contract.
Mhm.
And so my first day going back to work, we had a beard competition. So like I took a picture and then I had to shave, and I sent her a picture. She's like, "I don't even fucking recognize you."
Yeah.
And my friend Becky had only seen me with facial hair because she was roommates with one of my other friends. And she had just gotten she had traveled for a year after getting out of the Navy. And so I was hanging out and she's like, "You're not allowed in our house with that weak ass chin. Like, put some fucking stubble on there and then we can be friends again." I was like, "You guys are assholes."
The first time I really grew my beard out thickly, someone said I look like Kimbo Slice, because I also had like kind of close buzz cut hair. I think this was like maybe junior year of college or something like that. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. And then I've had a few stints with some girlfriends that are like, my current one right now, she loves the beard, so it's like, okay, but it's like I want to make
Yeah.
sure it's kept. It doesn't like get all wild and untamed.
Oh yeah, I'll do the trimmer, shave the neck and all that. The first time I tried growing a beard was when I was coming back from active duty. I had a couple of weeks before I started working for Goodyear, and I had the most disgusting looking beard. It was like all patchy, and it was like just along my jawline.
Yeah.
Nothing came in on my cheeks, and I was like, "Yeah, I had facial hair." And then like I really looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, "Oh God,
That is
that is
not.
disgusting. This is nope,
Oh.
nope. Shave that shit right off."
I did see that one of our mutual friends you got to spend time with, Jake Werner.
Mm.
That time you saw him, there's a photo on your Instagram. Holy Jehovah's
Oh
Witness.
yeah,
That's a beard.
he and his brother Max. They both got pretty awesome beards.
Yeah.
I'm actually hoping to go see them again in October or November when my orders are done. But I
Mm.
saw them like right before Thanksgiving last year. It was like a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
It was awesome. I hadn't seen them in 5 years. I used to when they live in DC or Maryland. They were living in DC. They live in Maryland. And when I was in North Carolina, I used to drive up and see my granddad because he lived in Alexandria. And so I'd go and see, the Werner family and all that, catch up with them. And then, when I came back to the West Coast, I was a broke college student for a little while. And I also spent whatever money I did have on partying because there was Bleachers,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like right off of Cornell and Saltzman,
Oh
whatever
yeah,
that is.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I lived in those apartments right across the street. So that was
Really?
like the only bar I went to because I could stumble home and not have to worry about paying for an Uber. So it's like
That,
where I spent all my time
that's a
numerous times.
that's a pretty good reason to like move next to a bar and just
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I was just kind of, partying, having fun. When I enlisted, I was 18, turned 21 in the Army, and we used to do something called Global Response Force. So one unit in North Carolina, it's part of the 82nd Airborne. You had 4 brigades of several thousand people in each, and you all took turns doing GRF. And so essentially, if shit hit the fan anywhere in the world, we used to do all these drills where you'd be mobilized on a plane, ready to go in 18 hours. And there was an incident in the Gaza Strip when Jake was stationed there because he was in the Israeli army for a few years.
Mhm.
And he was stationed in Gaza, and there was a massive missile strike, and all kinds of stuff was going on. One of my buddies, bolted through my barracks room door, and he's like, "Yo, dude, we're going to fucking war." And I was like, "Yeah, when and where?"
I need more details.
And so we were all sitting there. We had all our phones confiscated, no internet. We just waited to see if we were going to jump into Israel and help the Israelites there. And everything was over in about 10 days, so we ended up going. But Jake and I talked, and he was just like, "Dude, how fucking nuts would it have been if we got to fight together in different countries? Like, that would have been insane,
Oh, dude. Yeah.
But no, he was a badass. He was a Israeli commando for a couple of years. So,
Really?
oh yeah, he was pretty hardcore.
I was trying to get him on the show, but he declined. So, but he was gracious. He was like, "Oh, I think he was just a little camera shy." But I was like, that's fine. But it's just like, part of my mission with this is not just like to get your story out on everywhere, but it's also like I want to catch up with you.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
like it
Jake.
would have been like a catching up moments with Jake Warner and I, and you.
Yeah, Jake is doing cybersecurity work. So he's got a lot of secret clearances, so he can't talk about what he does. So that's pretty much all I know is he does computer stuff. And I was like, all right, that's all I need to know. So that's the extent that he can talk about it, pretty much.
Like when you think about Target high school days, because you were there for freshman, sophomore, and then was it junior where you transferred to Westview, or is it senior?
Like the very start of senior year is when
Right,
I
sorry,
left.
senior. So we shared 3 years together in high school. Did you ever think like I could see this person doing that? I could see that person doing that. For Jake, I'm just like computers. I more saw him as like the face, out there in public talking to people. I never saw him more of like that computer whiz.
I saw him as a soldier, because that's like all he and I ever talked about when we hung out.
Yeah.
The Army used to do something called the buddy program. So you could enlist together, and then you go to all the same bases for basic training, your job school and all that other stuff. You'd end up in the same unit. It was like a recruitment tactic, trying to get more people to enlist, because our military was pretty shorthanded for a long time. And we had talked about it, but he stayed back, helped out his family and all of that. And I was like, well, I still want to do this. So I actually lived with the Warners for a few months over the summer before I went to basic training.
Hmm.
Jake, Max, and I shared one room, so we had one of those trundle beds. So Jake was on like the bed, and then the Max was on the trundle, and then we had like this Tempur-Pedic mattress on the floor. And so we would just sit there, play video games. Jake took me to the gym one time. I wanted to cry because that dude is an absolute animal of a human being.
Still is.
Oh yeah, he's not small.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so.
But he and Max are pretty avid gym goers, and I stopped for a little while, but I'm up to about 200 pounds right now. So
Wow, dude.
yeah, it's all on my ass. You can't see it, but no, I started hitting the gym pretty good. They have a really nice gym at the rec center here on campus, so I get to use that. And I go there, and I got like a little bit of like the beer stomach, right? So I've been working that off. I eat a lot healthier. I cook all my own food and stuff like that. And I'm used to going to this small farm town gym, where I live, because I live in Kuna, Idaho. It's a farm town outside of Boise, about
Okay.
30, 45 minutes. And it's just like this big warehouse with some gym equipment. And that's where I go to work out. So a lot of people that are in there are like farmers, high school kids, that sort of thing. Well, like I go to the gym in the morning here before I go do the clinics or work at the hospital. and you got all the athletes that are there. These dudes have like 1% body fat. They're all cut as shit. And I like called Tori, my girlfriend, one day. I was like, hey, you're not allowed to go to the rec center with me, like, ever. She's like, why not? I was like, because you will leave my bald fat ass in like 5 minutes. And for one of these dudes that are like have a 14 pack and a bicep the size of my head, like, it's not happening. So I'm a little out of place there. But no, it's a nice gym. So
Yeah. And, so that makes me kind of think of, so I do have a little bit of I think body dysmorphia, where I think like, okay, I'm doing fine because like I have a barbell I could use, like I was using during COVID, or just like I have a gym membership, but when it was like raining out, because I don't know if you remember, Portland rains a lot,
mhm.
and I don't want to go for a run outside. It's like, okay, I could do this, I could do a lot of curls, great, but I still don't feel like I'm big enough. I still don't feel like I'm strong enough. Now, just think about that joke you just made. Your insecurities, how, because a lot of those things, I feel like you can make them into jokes and you kind of laugh it off
Oh
because
yeah, that's literally my entire life. Yeah.
do they never affect you like on a deeper level, or is that just
No, I
no?
mean, I don't think so. Like, I'll make jokes about it, but like, I know I'm in shape. I know I'm stronger than most of our privates who are like 120 pounds soaking wet. And like, I try to stay fit. Like, we had I went and grabbed lunch. We have some college students volunteer at the front desk for our clinics. And so me and some of the National Guard guys and some of those girls went and got lunch the other day, and they were hopping in my truck, and I was like, hey, can you move my body armor? She goes looking around. She goes, what? You don't have any body armor back here. I was like, no, the vest right there. She goes, oh, I thought you were talking about the sports drink. I was like, no. And she picked it up and she's like, Jesus Christ, what's in this? I was like, steel plates. She's like, how much does this weigh? I was like, I don't know, like 25 pounds. She goes, this is what you wear? I was like, well, no, you also got to add 7 magazines of ammo, usually a radio, pack of water, and then you got your rucksack and your helmet. And she was just like, you just carry that around. I was like, yeah. And if someone gets shot, you have to wear all that and drag a motherfucker. So that's a super exciting training event where you're just dragging dudes. I had this buddy in my unit in Oregon. We called him Ogre because he is just the biggest son of a bit. He's a corrections officer for a maximum security federal penitentiary in Washington.
Mhm.
And he had like the crazy eyes. Like, it looked like his eyeballs were popping out of his head when he'd stare at you. He's a huge guy. There's a picture of him and I together on somewhere on Instagram, and it's just, I look like Slender Man standing next to this guy. He's huge. And we our training exercises, he would throw all his body armor on, and he was like, all right, drag me. This was all like 150 160 pounds. So if you incorporate all your body armor, your rucksack, and your ammo, I'm around 210 to 220.
Mhm.
Then you got him who's 230 naturally, and then he's got 50 60 pounds of body armor and shit on, and you got to drag this dude. I'm like, bro, you're just gonna fucking die. Like, I'm sorry, it takes the whole platoon to carry your ass. And
You're like, let me go get this. Let me go get a forklift, and then we're good. Let's just from
yeah,
there, we're good.
there was a while where I was really feeling myself. I used to do military funeral honors when I was in Oregon, and did dozens and dozens of funeral services just in a few month period. And I don't know if you ever watched the movie Band of Brothers, the movie
I
series.
I know of it. Yeah, yeah.
So one of the, that was all based on the 501st Easy Company from during World War II. And one of those guys was from Astoria, Oregon. And when he passed away, I got to do his funeral service, and that was like a huge thing for me because, watching that TV show, I was like, I want to be a paratrooper. Those guys seem badass before I had enlisted. So I got to do his funeral service, and it was great. Like, sad, yes, but it was felt pretty rewarding to do that. But some of those, I was on a traveling team, so we had like the whole northwestern quadrant of Oregon. So I go around. Usually, on the whole my portion of the ceremony would only be about 15 minutes for the flag fold, and if we had the manpower for it. That was the big struggle we had. There was a lot of the World War II, Korea, Vietnam vets. Those guys are all, those men and women are starting to pass away. They're getting older, and so we were pretty busy for a while there. So we didn't get to do the full 21 gun salute and all of that. We did it as often as we could. But I had all this extra time, like, and I wasn't in school. I was taking a couple of months off, and I was doing these funerals.
I 100% could not make in the military. So I applaud you, sir, for making
Nice.
it 10 plus years.
Yeah, 9.5 more years till I can retire. So when I hit my 20.
So is that your long-term plan with your military life?
I plan on staying in until they tell me I'm too broken and crippled to stay in anymore.
Well, the
So
knee,
I've got,
the knees are getting there. So
yeah, knees are bad. I had my right foot reconstructed, so I have like 60% feeling in my foot. Broken all of my fingers at least once, mostly twice. Broken fracture my wrist, dislocated both my shoulders cumulatively about 100 times. So because the ligaments got super stretched out. So if I don't do shoulder exercises, my joints just fall out of the socket. 2 TBIs. One was from hitting my head on that door frame.
Yep.
And hips are starting to go bad. My lower back is slightly like compressed a bit from all the weight, because like when you do a combat jump for training, you have like a 60 to 80 pound parachute, and then you usually have about 80 pounds in your rucksack, and then you throw all that on a harness and strap it to yourself, and then you got your weapon, and then you're like penguin waddling around, and look, right, quickly exit the plane. I'm like, fucking how, man? How the hell do you I can move my feet 4 inches at a time. So
I'll get there when I get there.
yeah, so you'll just see a bunch of dudes doing this whole waddle. You just kind of see them do this, going up to the door on the plane. So that kind of messed up my lower back. But now my friend Becky, she had a pretty bad training accident when she was in the Navy. She has a lot of internal damage in her body, and she found that yoga was like a huge thing that helped her. So when she traveled all over Asia for about a year and did a bunch of schools and stuff like that in Bali, and I can't remember where else, but she got certified to be a yoga instructor. She finally convinced me to do it. She's like, this is called, like yin yoga. It's all stretching. And I was like, holy shit, it's like the best I felt in God knows how long. And then the next time she gave me a class, she was like, all right, this is more like exercise yoga. And I was shaking like a leaf the entire time. And Becky's like 5'3", like 115 pounds. And she's like, man, you're shaking like a bitch. I thought you were supposed to be a soldier. I was like, you're such an asshole. You're so aggressive for a yoga teacher. But she has a studio in Keoni, the only one in Keoni. And I was going to start going, and then I got offered these state orders. So they moved me up north. But my girlfriend started going. She's like, I'm going to Becky's like hot, intense yoga thing. I don't know. And she called me afterwards. She was like, Jesus Christ, I need to use the bike in the garage way more often, because I have like a little gym set up in my garage with, like adjustable dumbbells, bench, and some other stuff. But
you have something to use. You have something to use when you have some downtime. Not to get a full on workout in, but
yeah, so my mom, dad, brother, and sister all have one of those Peloton bikes.
Oh yeah.
And so they're always competing with each other. And they're like, you should get one. I was like, yeah, no, totally. And so I looked up how much some of those things were, and they're like $2,500. I was like, dude, my motorcycle was $2,500. Like, and that actually moves, and I don't have to die when I'm using it. But when I was in Seattle for Thanksgiving, we did our first family workout for the holidays. And I was telling Tori about it, and she was like, oh God, are you one of those families? It's like first time in 28 years that we've ever done something like this. And then I found there was a Peloton app. So I just have my like regular stationary bike that was not even close to $2,500. And then I can still do the bike exercises on the TV and stuff.
Yeah. You don't need that like high performance bike to just go in one spot.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So outside of the military and then everything else we've talked about, you're also a dog owner. And
oh yeah.
Are you planning on getting a dog tattooed on you somewhere also, or?
I'm getting her paw print on the back of my calf.
I was just joking, but
oh, I'm not. No, I love my dog. I was engaged for a brief period a few years ago, and my ex and she had a dog, and then we got another one for me, and her dog ended up liking me a lot, and then my dog bonded to her really well. Well, when she left, they were both in her name, and so she got to keep the dogs. And I didn't like process what was going on. We'd had issues for a while, and it just wasn't working out. It was the best for both of us to split. And I just, when I get in those situations, all I do is I just work. So I was working at this electrical warehouse for a little while before I got my mechanic job. I was doing like 12-hour days there. And then we were moving out of our apartment because my army buddy that I moved here with had just bought a house. So I'd, work a 12-hour day, get off work, carry all our shit from the third floor down to a truck on the first floor, and then drive 25 minutes out to Keoni, unload everything in the garage. I do 2 or 3 chips, and then I would just pass out. And then right after that, I went we had to do an annual field training for the National Guard. So I went to my 2 weeks of training, and those are like usually 20-hour days of training, minimal sleep, shitty food. It's great. And then our last day in the field, I went on the Idaho Humane Society website, and I saw this dog named Doc, and he was like a German Shepherd lab mix, and his ears were all like wonky, so he looked drunk. And I was like, that looks hilarious. So I called them the very next morning, like right when they opened. I was like, hey, is Doc still available? And they're like, yeah, he's here. I was like, hold him. I'll be there in 1 hour. I want to see him. And so I hadn't showered in 2 weeks. I'm in my dirty ass field uniform. I probably smell like an inside out asshole. And I walked in, and I went to the back desk, and I was like, hey, I'm here to see Doc. And this lady just goes, oh no, I'm sorry. He was literally just adopted 5 minutes ago.
Oh.
Then I had this whole break. I was like, fuck. And she looked at me really, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't, it's not your fault. I'm not blaming you. She's like, sweetheart, what's going on? And I just unloaded all this shit on this total stranger. I was like, I'm going through some shit. I'm exhausted. I just went through a breakup with my girlfriend. She has both our dogs, and she was like, well, what kind of dog are you looking for? I was like, anything with German Shepherd in it. She was like, all right, well, we have one. And she's not on the website yet. And she's, been in the Humane Society in New Mexico for 3 months, and no one adopted her. So they sent her here because Idaho has a very high adoption rate, and they generally keep the dogs.
Yeah.
They don't really have a whole lot of returns. And so I went and took a look at, her name was Valeria. And I was like, that's a really weird ass dog name. So I took her one of those private kennels, and they told me she was skittish. So I let her off the leash, and I just sat down and let her do her thing. She sniffed around, and she walked up really hesitantly to me, and leaned in really close to my face, right here. And I'm kind of looking at her. I didn't move. And she licked my cheek and started getting all excited. So I played with her, and I was like, all right, I'm played with her half an hour, put a hold on her so I could bring my roommate's dog. She's a pit bull that loves anything with a heartbeat except squirrels and cats. But her name's Abby, sweetest dog ever. And I was like, I just want to make sure that she and Abby get along. Yeah. So I brought Abby the next day. They were immediate best friends, inseparable, all that jazz. So I bought her. Like, did you want to change her name? I was like, yes. And can I also get a penicillin shot? That lady looked at me and goes, oh my God, her name does sound like one of those diseases. I was like, yeah, it does. So I renamed her Scout, and she's half German Shepherd and half Coyote. And she loves chasing squirrels. That's the one time she won't listen to me is when she sees a squirrel or a ground whistle pig or a ground squirrel. But no, my girlfriend spent a lot of time with her over the summer because she was getting ready to go to Taiwan to teach English at an elementary school. And so she wasn't working. And so when I did go back to work, she'd go and hang out with my dog and all that jazz. They actually were just up here this weekend. So they left 10 minutes before I got on this call.
I'm honored, buddy.
Oh yeah. But no, she's my bitch. I love her to death.
So Scout, new dog, love the bitch to death.
Oh yeah.
Just saw her. How are you feeling? She's
good. She's not meant for apartment or hotel living. She's a great security dog. I'm a pretty heavy sleeper unless she notifies me of something. I had some kid. I don't even know. There's somebody was doing some shit in my backyard, and so it was right after my girlfriend had moved back from Taiwan, and I jumped out of bed. And I started running. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, stay here. And I was like, guns in the night table. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, it's in the night table. She's like, what the hell is going on? I was like, I'll be right back. So the dog and I ran in the backyard, and this dude was frantically trying to get over the fence because Scout has a very protective personality, especially with kids. I dated a gal for a little bit who had 2 boys, and I was taking the dog for a walk, and her older son, who was 5, was like, "Hey, can I come with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, buddy, absolutely." And so we were walking around, and there was this guy who was very clearly tweaking on something. And the moment he got within like 15 feet, Scout like got in front of the girl's son and was like just completely kept herself in between the two of them. The guy like reached his hand out, and she kind of bared her teeth, and he was like, "Oh, your dog's an asshole." And I'm like, "You're reaching for a 5-year-old. What the hell is she supposed to do?"
Yeah, it's like I feel like that's the normal reaction anyone
yeah.
should have. All right, Jake, I could talk to you forever because you're one of my best friends, but I like to ask a couple questions from this pack of 170 hypothetical questions, just to wrap it up with a nice little bow. This question kind of pertains to you. If you died and had to choose one place to haunt for the rest of eternity, where would you choose to haunt?
Fuck, that is a great question.
You
I
are-
would say a barracks at basic training. That would be my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I would just fuck with brand new recruits for the rest of my days.
Create like the worst and like most ridiculous stories of how you died, and then freak them out.
Oh yeah.
So I currently live near the Oregon Zoo. I don't know if you remember where that is. And there's a cemetery right next door, and there's also a forest. I was like, I could be that creepy ghost in the forest. That'd be kind of fun.
I did a number of funeral services there when I was doing the honor guard. So
and I think John's buried over here too.
I could be wrong. Willamette National Cemetery. Beautiful plot. There's always flowers there. So
yeah. And then there's a highway dedicated to him too now.
Yeah, right by what's that, Beaverton Shopping Center or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Cedar Hills Crossing, right?
You still remember.
Yeah.
You still remember.
It's been a minute.
just a wee bit. My second question is since you're a homeowner, what would be the most interesting or exciting thing to make a floor in a house out of?
A trampoline.
That's what everyone said. Yeah.
Either that or a waterbed.
I think someone said oh no. Well, they said Legos, but it'd be very uncomfortable to walk on.
Just because you could build stuff. Legos. You kidding me? I'll buy like those 10,000 piece things and just sit there. My girlfriend's like, "I can't believe I'm dating a grown man who's builds Legos." I was like, "Would you rather I smoke meth? Because that's like the other option." All right, I guess meth is worse.
I mean, like, look at my backdrop, man. I got like comic book posters and toys.
I got a ton of bobbleheads. I got the Star Wars bobbleheads. I had them on my dashboard, and I just got a new truck a couple months ago. I got this clear coat put on it. I went to go stick my bobbleheads on the dashboard, and the clear coat is like an anti-adhesive, so I can't stick them on there. My girlfriend was like, "Thank God." I was like, "Fuck you. That was my identity."
How dare you? How dare you? Yeah, I mean, like, trampoline would be fun, but I also need like vaulted ceilings because
that would be pretty key. Can't have a shallow ceiling with that.
Nope. But yeah, like I would think like trampoline or Legos would be fun, but walking on those little Lego like circles, that doesn't sound fun to me at all.
Yeah, there was a couple of times I stepped on mid project. I was like, "Son of a bitch, why do I do this to myself?"
So Jake, I'm not sure how socially media active you are, but if you wanted to plug your handles, where can the people find you on social media if they want to follow you?
At Jake Eiland is my Instagram. It's pretty much the only thing I'm on these days.
Yeah, because I checked your Facebook. Not a whole lot of.
Pretty inactive. Yeah, I saw a lot of negative stuff that people were posting, and I just kind of got tired of it. So I took a break for a while, and then I missed the memes. That was like my main meme source was Instagram. So
yeah,
and I kept in touch with a lot of people using it. So I just I unfollowed a lot of groups and just kind of stick with people I mainly keep in touch with. But I'll have random. I had Jake Paulson actually hit me up about a year and a half ago, kind of out of the blue. We were never really close or anything like that in high school. Just kind of out of the blue, hit me up, talked to him for a minute. I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's fun how like so many people are like so negative about social media, but this is like the good part about it. It's like I got to reconnect with you. I had a new number, so I couldn't really text you. And it's nice to be able to know that like the people that I went to high school with that kind of help as I was getting myself developed is still out there doing amazing things like yourself with the military. So
Yeah.
thanks, man, for coming on
All
the
in good
show.
fun. Much love.
Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the episode. If you like what you heard or watched and would like more episodes from Keoni Chats, the show can be found on all major podcast platforms under Keoni Chats. A video version is available on YouTube under Keoni Chats as well. So like and subscribe on those platforms to keep in the loop as far as the next episode released. But if you would like to be a guest, go ahead and email me your story at kcmedia13@yahoo.com, and I'd love to get you scheduled. To keep up to date with all of the episode release announcements on social media, the KC Media brand can be found on Instagram and Twitter under KC Media 13. And then on Facebook, it can be found under Conluke Media. So until the next episode, everyone, please take care.